Hi everyone, I'm Chuck Gibson, and this is Loveland Beacon Talks Special Sports Edition. Well, the first round of the 2024 USF Pro Championship IndyCar Racing, presented by Continental Tire, took place in St. Petersburg, Florida last weekend with the USF 2000 and J. Howard driver development driver Evagoras Papasavvas having a very impressive start to the 2024 season. He earned a pair of podium results. Second place in race 1, third place in race 2, and Evagoras is standing by right now to join us here on Loveland Beacon Talks Special Sports Edition. So we welcome now Evagoras Papasavvas. Well, Evagoras, it is good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us here on Loveland Beacon Talks, the Sports Special. Once again, as we follow you on your racing journey for 2024, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thank you. Pleasure to be on here.
Well, you know what? I think there's probably even a greater pleasure for you today because we get to talk about racing.
Finally.
After that winter off season, you were back in the seat, back on that road course in St. Petersburg, and for you and the USF 2000, that meant race 1 on Friday and race 2 on Saturday. And as we get started, the first thing I have to say to you, Evagoras, is what a great weekend. Congratulations on those results for you.
Yeah, thank you.
And again, for those listening, if they haven't already caught up with this, and they should have by now if they're following, but Evagoras, led a whole bunch in race number 1 on Friday and ultimately earned a nice second place on the podium in race 1. And then likewise on Saturday came back with, a great start in race 2 and led a whole bunch of the race. Sadly, at the end, it's still a great result, but got passed by a couple and took the third place spot on the podium for race 2 Saturday. So that gives you guys, for the listeners, you're all caught up. Also, Evagoras, what does that mean, driver standings right now? You're in a pretty good spot right off the start, yes?
Yeah, driver standings so far, currently second in the championship. So, we're already a lot better than we were last year, finishing 4th. And last year, I believe my highest place in the championship was 3rd last year. So, we're already improved on that, which is great. Already making progress. And if you go back and you look at the results race by race, both me and another driver that I'm competing with, we both got 2nd and 3rd places, during the weekend. But obviously, with the races switched. So, for example, I got 2nd in race 1. He got 2nd in race 2. I got 3rd in race 1. He got 3rd I got 3rd in race 2, he got 3rd in race 1. So, but in the championship, I'm actually ahead of him because I got an extra point for leading the most laps in race 1, leading all of, basically all of, except for 3 laps in race 1. So I got an extra point for that, which put us ahead in the championship. So yeah, really good so far.
Well, that explains the difference, and of course, for people that are listening and following, hopefully going to follow all season, right, what you're talking about right there, or who you're talking about right there, is Sam Corey. And 2 things: you, number 1, explained why there's that 1 point difference between the 2 of you, which puts you in that 2nd spot in the driver standings right now, and Sam behind you in 3rd. But we got to talk. A great weekend for you, but man, tell us a little bit about that first race. Like you said, that extra point came from leading the most laps. Tell us a little bit about race number 1 for you.
Yeah, race number 1, really good start to the weekend in general. The start, I qualified 4th. I didn't have the best of qualifying, as I missed the second half of qualifying after making just a small mistake. But on a street course like that, a small mistake can really punish you, as it did with us. Made a small mistake, hit a wall very lightly, but just enough to bend the steering in the car.
Yeah.
But, started fourth, finished fourth in qualifying, which actually we're very lucky that it was only fourth, as since I missed the second half of qualifying, we were, normally when you miss, the end of the session, you would lose more spots because that's when everyone goes quicker. But we were lucky. No one actually went quicker. So we only lost, two or three spots.
Right, and
during the second half.
Yeah, before that incident in qualifying early Friday, I guess you were, you were right there leading with the fastest time in qualifying, and again, when you say only lost a couple spots, your time held up despite not being out there for the rest of that qualifying. Your speed held up to hold on to that fourth starting spot and fourth fastest qualifying position. That, like you said, there's more than luck involved there. You did a pretty darn good job while you were out there, yes?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was the thing that I was, I still managed to, that time still held off. It was a good lap in the first place, and, which is why it held up for fourth. But, fourth starting both races. Obviously wasn't ideal. We'd like to be higher up, but I managed to make it work. At the start for race one, me personally, I'm being completely honest, I wasn't even expecting this, but when we started the race going into turn one, there was the pole sitter Max Garcia and Sam Corey starting second. Max Garcia went all the way down to the inside of the track, and Sam Corey went all the way to the outside of the track. And kind of, quick thinking by me kind of left a smaller, a perfectly sized gap for me to put my car. So, I decided to brake as late as I possibly could. And I was able to do that. I was able to go from fourth to, I think in race one, it was fourth to second. Yeah, fourth to second in one corner. So really good start. But then during that lap, that same first lap, we had a yellow flag, a full course yellow, for some incident farther back into the field. So, and then on the restart, once we all started going again, I was able to pass first place into turn one and get that lead. And then, from then on, I was leading pretty well. Like I said, getting that extra point for leading.
Right.
And then, he was on right behind me the entire race. And, during the weekend in general, the theme is that my main competitors, Pabst Racing, they just had more traction than us, kind of in general throughout the whole weekend. And, our car was very good in the beginning, which is why I was able to go from fourth to first in a short amount of laps. But then, after that, once we got halfway through the race, it was really, really hard for me. I really started to struggle. So that's when they had the upper hand, and we had the disadvantage, and got past. Still was able to hold off third place, finish second. So not too bad for a first race of the season. Obviously, would like that win, but good for the championship.
Yeah. Well, you covered a lot there, Evagoras, and I'm going to back up. It's a very impressive start. I was able to watch, almost all of race one on Friday on the live stream, and I can tell you, really impressed to see that fourth position start, and then quickly move up to second in that first lap, and then got him on the restart to go into first and then lead all those laps. I mean, it was, from fourth to first in kind of a hurry. So, I know you were, you're reasonably humble about that, but it was a very impressive showing. And trust me, your USF 2000 announcer, and his name escapes me right now, but he didn't mince words. He said, "Boy, that Papasavvas is just getting a great, impressive start to move from fourth to first, as you did." So I think the people listening right now need to be aware that was, that's extraordinary and very quick, and it was a nice, clean move to get you there. You talked about also at the end, like I said, you covered a lot. talking about the Pabst Racing, and we want to give the listeners a chance. They're going to hear some of these names throughout the season. Right now, it looks like this Evagoras Papasavvas is going to hang around with Max Garcia and Sam Corey for a whole bunch of this season, battling it out for those podium spots. So, again, Max Garcia is the one that actually ended up taking race 1 and race 2. And then Sam Corey, and as you said, you guys flipped the switch there with you 2 in race 1 and him being number 2 in race 3, and vice versa. You were 3 in race 2, and he was 3rd in race 1. But a lot of excitement with you and that Pabst Racing team. Tell me a little bit about, because the other thing that was impressive, Evagoras, is as you were leading, there was no doubt that Garcia and Corey were battling and trying to find a way past you, especially on Friday in race 1. And it just seemed, as you said, they had some better grip, which gives them better speed. So what's that like, trying to hold them off, and as you said, kind of struggling with, with maybe the difference in the grip on the track for you?
Yeah, I mean, with my defensive, going defensive for most of the race in race 1, it really kind of sent the message out for the rest of the championship. Like, I'm not going to be pushed around, and I'm here to win, and nothing's going to stop me, really. So I'm going to, give it my all. And it's really, to both a message to the Pabst team in general, and also the drivers that I'm competing against, not only Max Garcia and Sam Corey, but everyone else in the field. But yeah, so it was a really good defense for, as long as I could with, the grip that I was losing. So really started to struggle, but, I gave it my all, tried my best. And, the defensive, actually, I actually had an interview after the race on the podium, and they described it as a defensive master class. So it really was pretty good to hold off for most of the 20 laps of that race.
Yeah. Well, again, and I didn't stick around in terms of the live stream. I didn't stick around for the podium interview, so I missed that. I did hear about it, but I do know, again, your USF 2000 race announcer, he was talking about it. He said Evagoras Papasavvas is doing everything he can, and it was fun to watch. I know you were working your tail off, but we were enjoying, and I think I told you, offline here, right up until you got past, I was having a blast right along with you.
But, feeling all of these same emotions as me.
No doubt. So, anyway, anything special you want to say about how race 2 played out? I mean, we covered pretty much in detail race 1. Anything special you want to tell us about how race 2 played out for you on Saturday?
Race 2, it went pretty much the same. But for the start, instead of going from 4th to 2nd, I actually went from 4th to 1st right away, right after the first corner. So the start was way better, for sure. And, the first few laps, I was actually starting to put a gap on the cars behind. So, I thought that, this is really, we can win this. Because I really started to put a gap on the cars behind and pulling away lap by lap. But then a problem further back into the field caused another yellow, so everyone got bunched up again. And then from then on, like I said before, we kind of continued to struggle with our grip issue that we had compared to the other guys. So then really, tried my best once again, was able to hold them off for a little bit. But, they ended up passing me towards the end again. And there was more yellows this race, so I had less green flag laps to make a move.
Yeah.
But yeah, and actually on the last lap before we went yellow, we actually finished under yellow that race.
Right.
And the last lap before the last green flag lap, I was really catching the two Pabst cars in front, and I was about to make a move on them, and then the yellow came out and kind of hindered my move that I was going to put on them. So then I was just, the only thing I could do was settle for 3rd at that point.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts or insights for those of us? I mean, as I was watching on Saturday the race too, I just thought, man, it was a little chaotic, and the number of yellows and the little incidents. Any thoughts from you on what was going on out there that maybe contributed? I mean, I hate to say, I just thought it was a sloppy race. Not by you, not by Max Garcia, not by Sam Corey, but some guys back in the field. I just was like, they're getting a little crazy back there.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, I 100% agree with you. It was a very chaotic and crazy race, and when you're a front runner up there, and especially when I was catching the two guys in front that one lap, and I was about to make a move, and I saw the yellow flags came out. I was really just sighed. I was like, oh, great.
Yeah, not again, right?
Yeah, but I mean, one of the yellows was actually, it was my teammate who actually got into a pretty big crash.
Right, Michael
Costello.
Right, yeah.
But I'm glad that he's okay. The safety of these cars are very good, so glad that he's okay. That's the most important thing. But yeah, so and not only that, there was also other yellows from other incidents, and that's to be expected at a street course, especially when it's the first race of the season, so everyone's new and everyone's a little bit rusty, from not racing very often. Right. So first time racing wheel to wheel for the season, and especially at a street course where there's no room for mistake. So instead of going off into the grass, you go off into a wall. So but yeah, it's to be expected with being the first race of the season and just the nature of the track. But yeah, I mean, from my perspective, as I was driving, it was kind of like, it just kind of kept getting in the way of my race. But that like I said, to be expected.
It happens, right?
Yeah, it's part of racing.
It's racing. Well, hey, great recap of weekend number one. Races 1 and 2. You've got 3, 4, and 5 coming up. We're gonna. I know one of the quotes from you was shift your focus now to rounds 3, 4, and 5. So that's going to be a couple of weeks away. NOLA Motorsports Park on April 5, 6, and 7. So, going to wish you the very best as you head to NOLA. But what, I guess we put that first weekend behind you and move forward. Any thoughts going towards that weekend in NOLA? And then one quick important question: given what you learned, especially about the Pabst team. What does the Jay Howard driver development team do to counter that for the race coming up at NOLA Motorsports Park that first weekend in April?
So at NOLA Motorsports Park, over the testing that we've done during the winter break, our team we're pretty comfortable at that track. We've done a lot of testing there, so I'm pretty confident in what we can deliver. And, it's really just to continue to make progress on ourselves, on our car, just every race getting a better car, race by race. And, just to, obviously fix the issues that we had with losing grip. But, NOLA is a completely different track than St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg is a street course where the material, the surface is changing almost every corner, and the tires can wear differently depending on the track. So, we have to go in NOLA, keep in mind what happened in St. Petersburg, but just kind of a full reset and switch our car to NOLA set.
Yeah, so the NOLA Motorsports Park, Evagoras, obviously as you said, it's not a street course. It's a motorsports park. How's that course set up? I mean, is that kind of like a road course setup? Although it's not out on the streets of out there in Louisiana, but is that a lot of turns as well, or how's that set up?
Yeah, so at NOLA we're definitely reaching higher speeds for sure. The corners are not as tight, way more open, and very, very fast corners. It's a very fast track, so very fast corners. So if we have a car that's good in the fast corners, That's the majority of the track, so that's really where the time will be gained. But also in the slow corners as well. There are very few slower corners on that track, but they're still very vital to putting the whole lap together. So really just have to go there, see what the conditions are like. I'm confident that our team, that we'll have a good car, really confident in this team and what they can put together. So just really excited for NOLA. Very fast track, not a street course. So yeah, just go and see what will happen.
Perfect. Well, listen, Evagoras, I'll let you get back to it. I know you just finished a training session, and I'm not sure what's next in your day-to-day, but thank you so much for joining us here on Loveland Beacon Talks for another sports special as we continue to track Evagoras Racing and Evagoras Papasavvas. I know you just can't wait to hear that gentleman start your engines.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Chuck. And I also want to thank all my sponsors as well before we end.
Yeah.
RP Diamond, local here in Loveland. D1 Training, which is, I just came back from D1. Body Wise, Nutrition, Tiger Natural Gas, Marvel Matisse Paris, Evagoras Enterprises, and all the people that have been donated to my GoFundMe. Really want to thank them as well. There's a lot of donations going on to GoFundMe, so very thankful for every one of them.
Very good. Hey, Evagoras, it doesn't happen without them. And for those of you listening, evagorasracing.com, or just search Evagoras Papasavvas, and you can find him on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and check out the latest news, results, and information, and some awesome photos and videos as Evagoras chases that driver championship in the USF 2024. Again, thanks so much, Evagoras. It's a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Take care. Keep racing.
Yep, take care. See ya.
That was up-and-coming Indy race car driver Evagoras Papasavvas. Be sure to join us throughout the USF 2024 Indy Series racing season as we follow Evagoras to the checkered flag in pursuit of a place on the winner's podium and a driver championship. This has been a sports special presentation of Loveland Beacon Talks. I'm Chuck Gibson, saying thanks for listening here on Loveland Beacon. Loveland Beacon Talks is a presentation of Loveland Beacon Digital Media and Gibson Communications, LLC.